You have less than a month left to get your badges for Rose City Comic Con, Portland's premier pop culture event, and they have an even more star-studded roster with indie film icon and White Lotus Season 3 star Parker Posey in attendance. And that's along with members of the Dungeons & Dragons web series Critical Role and Doctor Who stars Christopher Eccleston and Billy Piper. This is all happening September 5th through the 7th, and you can go grab your badges now at rosecitycomiccon.com. That's rosecitycomiccon.com. The Clinton Street Theater, a Portland gem in my opinion, is having its third annual Hanabi Film Festival starting August 18th through the 31st. Named after the Japanese word for fireworks, the festival ranges from Japanese art house and cult classics to critically acclaimed animations to underseen gems from the 80s and 90s. And this year, they're featuring several restorations along with brand new features, some that have never made it to Portland or even the US. Festival passes and individual tickets can be purchased online at cstpdx.com. That's cstpdx.com. Today on CityCast Portland, we're continuing our Neighborhood Guide series where we talk with Portlanders about the good, bad, and ugly of where they live. And this time, we're talking with Portland Monthly's Associate Editor of Food and Drink, Alex Frayne, about Southeast Portland's Sunnyside neighborhood. He thinks that when you close your eyes and you think about inner Southeast, the picture that comes into your mind is actually Sunnyside. I guess we'll see about that. And stick around after our show for a volunteering opportunity brought to us by Metropolitan Family Service. It's Thursday, August 14th. I'm Claudia Meza, and this is what Portland's talking about. Before we get into specific spots to check out on Sunnyside, do you want to name the boundaries of this neighborhood? Because honestly, I just know it's in Southeast, right?
Yeah. So the boundaries are actually pretty easy. It's really rectangular. On the west side, you've got 28th, and on the east, you have 50th. Stark is the northern border, and then Hawthorne is going to be the southern border.
Oh, that's it?
Yep, just smack down in the middle of Southeast Portland, surrounded by a bunch of neighborhoods.
I swear to God, usually that answer, it somehow, it just goes on. People are
Right.
just like, well, let me tell you, if you're looking at the sun, you know.
Right, exactly. No, Sunnyside, though, just a big rectangle in the middle of Southeast Portland.
Well, give me your best Sunnyside pitch. What do you love about living there?
So maybe this is just being a local, being a native to this neighborhood. I grew up in this neighborhood because I'm living where I grew up, actually. And maybe this is just a bias from my whole life spending here. But when people talk about Southeast Portland, I think really like what they're evoking is Sunnyside neighborhood. And it's surrounded.
Hold on. So what you're saying is inner Southeast Portland, because this is inner Southeast Portland.
This is inner Southeast Portland. And we'll get into the...
Well, no, because what you just said is like, when you think of Southeast Portland, it's Sunnyside.
I mean, it is. I mean, I think you're thinking
love
of
it.
I think you're thinking of Buckman. I think you're thinking of Richmond. I think you're thinking of Laurelhurst, and those are the surrounding neighborhoods, right? Those are the neighborhoods like immediately around.
But
that.
Sunnyside's the heart.
Sunnyside is kind of the heart of this.
Okay.
It's really like it's super verdant. There's trees on every single block. It's extraordinarily walkable. There's a lot of places that are not in Sunnyside but are just outside of Sunnyside. So like Sunnyside would be like a great base, like where I am, to hit up all the other spots of Southeast Portland and then into kind of Northeast Portland a bit as well.
I'm excited to hear the negatives because that is like a really good pitch as to why you basically said it is all that you love about Southeast Portland. It is
Absolutely.
basically the Southeast Portland. It's walkable, bikeable, which I agree. Very green. But what are your personal Sunnyside gripes?
Well, I would say one of the biggest gripes is that this place, if I were not lucky enough to be living here, would be pretty much impossible to live here, right? You're not going to buy a house here unless you have a lot of money. You know, property values have risen exponentially since my parents bought a house here in the late 80s.
That was a great time to get into the Portland real estate, by the way.
Very good timing on
Late
their
80s,
part.
early
Brilliant.
90s. Yep. That was a genius financial move on your parents' part.
Absolutely. Now, my other gripe is kind of funnier. My other gripe is that, like I said, it's centered within all these other neighborhoods and all these other great places. And so when I was going through my list of places that I would take people or that locals hang out in, I kept stumbling on the fact that they were in Richmond or they were in Buckman.
This is what happens.
Or they were in Laurelhurst, because like if you just go to the opposite side of Hawthorne from where I live on the north side of Hawthorne. If you go to the south side of Hawthorne, you're not in Sunnyside anymore. If you're on the south sidewalk of Hawthorne, you're technically in Richmond.
Yeah.
And then same goes with anything on the northern side of Stark Street. So like if you go to like Baby Doll Pizza, you're technically no longer in Sunnyside at that point. You are in, it's probably Kearns.
Yeah, no, I hear you. This happens all the time with these guides. And actually, some people have taken liberties and they spiritually claim a spot as like, no, well, you know what? I mean, come on, let's just be honest. This feels more overlooked. Like, we're going to take this.
Totally.
And I allow it. I allow it. So
that's my other gripe, is that it is a little small on people. And I keep thinking that I'm in the Sunnyside neighborhood and I'm actually in one of its adjacent neighborhoods.
One of your gripes is that it makes you feel dumb, just a little bit.
Yeah, that's not what I was thinking, but thank you for suggesting that.
It fools you. There's trickery involved. Okay, sorry. So let's say someone brand new to the area. Where are you going to take them?
Okay, so I think the first place that I would take them if they're brand new to the neighborhood, which is just one of my favorite places, I grew up basically living in the space, is Movie Madness.
Oh, yeah.
Movie Madness being one of the last video rental stores in, the country, certainly the city. Probably the state. I think there's still that Blockbuster in Bend.
Let's just make up stuff. It's the last video store in the world.
Yeah, last video store in the world. No, it is one of the last video stores, though, that's really notable. It's huge. It's got everything on DVD. I think it still has VHS. It's got all sorts of really, really cool memorabilia from films, props, and costumes. I think they actually right now have the jacket that Arnold wears in the first Terminator, which is like more of a denim jacket. It's not a leather jacket, really.
That is really cool that they have all this memorabilia. It's more than a video store. I mean, obviously.
It's like a little museum.
It's a little museum. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
And now I would also take people to Cinemagic. So Cinemagic is just on actually, Cinemagic might be one that tricked me up, right? That actually might be Buckman, technically. And gotcha. Cinemagic is also owned by the Hollywood Theaters. Cinemagic and Movie Madness are now all under one umbrella. So you can actually drop your DVDs off at Cinemagic if you want.
That is pretty cool.
Down from Movie Madness, I would take people to one of the coolest bars in Portland, one of the oldest bars in Portland, which is the Horse Brass, which is really like the most authentically English pub in town. It's also largely responsible for both the beer scene that we have today and, weirdly enough, the coffee scene that we have. And I could go on a very long story about its former proprietor and owner, Don Younger, who is one of the most influential people in the city as far as beverages are concerned. He really was the patron of the beer boom in the 1980s and 90s, of the micro beer boom that then turned into a macro brewery boom, and was also the person who actually seeded the money for Stumptown's founding. Wow. So again, really influential in the coffee scene as well. But the Horse Brass is just a great old pub. You can get cask conditioned ales, which are rare to find in town. They've got real metal darts that you can play for free.
They have Sunday roasts occasionally, which is pretty cool.
Do they really? That makes sense. Yeah, they got a lot of like Englishy food.
Yeah, they have pasties and like...
They do. And they have
fish and chips. You can get a
Scotch egg.
You can get a Scotch egg, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know of any other place in town. I'm sure there's another place, but I can't think of it. Yeah, finally, I would say Foxtrot. So Foxtrot I think it's just coming up on its year anniversary, actually. It was one of the first stories I wrote about when I started at Portland Monthly last October. And it is in the space that used to be the Pied Cow, which was really this vestige of old Portland. Yeah. So really, really incredible patio, right? It's this like tall Victorian home. It's got a small, really eclectic dining room, and then it has this massive patio surrounded by trees. And they built it up a lot when they took over last October. Foxtrot built all sorts of like wooden structures and gazebos and covers and actually a little stage. They've got live music out there. And the bar itself is this really cool little kind of European-inspired bar. They do these low-proof cocktails as their main focus. And then they got like little kind of European pinchos. They just like Spanish-style pinchos with like little toast with toppings and things like that.
Low-proof cocktails. That's really cool.
Yeah, it's like a reverse Negroni, except a Negroni is equal parts. But basically, it's like it's a Spanish style of drink where you basically take a vermouth and then you spike it with like a little bit of spirit and maybe like an aperitif or a digestif or an amaro. So it's kind of like a Negroni, but it's going to be emphasizing the vermouth side of things.
That's cool. All right, well, let's take a quick break here. When we come back, where you would take someone on a perfect date in Sunnyside. Quick question, what are you doing for Labor Day weekend? Or better yet, the weekend after when the crowds die down? Now picture this, you're sipping your morning coffee on a forested deck in Mount Hood or catching the last bit of golden hour on a quiet seaside beach. No stress, no noise, just the Oregon you love without the traffic. That's the Cascadia Getaway's difference. They're local, independent, and proudly owned not by some Silicon Valley fund or Seattle-based mega platform, just Oregonians hosting with heart and helping guests unplug the way they deserve. And hey, if you own a second home and want a property manager who actually cares about your home the way you do, they'd love to connect. They're always looking to partner with homeowners who want high standards, high bookings, and a hands-off experience. Whether you're booking your next escape or listing your home with folks who get it, head to CascadiaGetaways.com. That's CascadiaGetaways.com. Book a stay, list a home, support local. This Labor Day weekend, discover the scene, the sound, and the vibe of one of Portland's most beloved jazz festivals through a mix of indoor and outdoor concerts. The 12th annual Montevilla Jazz Festival, presented by Accelerator Design Studios, is hosting 25 concerts across East Portland's historic Montevilla neighborhood and Mount Tabor Park. It's their boldest and most musically diverse lineup yet, ranging from improv, blues, soul, to Latin jazz. Some events are free, but you're going to want a Jazz Adventure Pass to experience the full festival that's going from August 29th through the 31st. Get your Jazz Adventure Pass today at montevillajazz.org. That's montevillajazz.org.
Got any fun trips coming up? One thing you probably haven't put on your packing list is learning the language. But with Babbel, you can start talking in just a few weeks. I'm David Plotz, the CEO of CityCast, and I've been learning Spanish with Babbel. And I also just persuaded my friend who's going to France this fall to learn French with Babbel, but that is another story. Babbel's extremely fun and intuitive. It's like having a private tutor in your pocket. Handcrafted by over 200 language experts, Babbel's lessons are voiced by real native speakers and built with science-backed cognitive tools and interactive features to fit any learning style. I love a lot of the different Babbel features. The Babbel games for sentence building, Babbel speech recognition, which helps me get the pronunciation right. And now I'm really into Babbel's word of the day, which greets me on the homepage of the app. Every day, a new word revealed like a little surprise with a sentence to help contextualize it. It's like a daily treat for me. Studies from Yale, Michigan State, and other leading universities continue to prove that Babbel works. One study found that using Babbel for 15 hours is equivalent to a full semester at college. Look, I want you to learn another language. So I'm teaming up with Babbel to gift you 55% off subscriptions, but only for CityCast listeners at babbel.com/CityCast. Get up to 55% off at babbel.com/CityCast. Spelled BABBEL.com/CityCast. Babbel.com/CityCast. Rules and restrictions may apply.
Okay, so where would you take someone on the perfect date?
Okay, so I think the perfect date is going to start in the afternoon-ish at the Tao of Tea, which is one of Portland's oldest tea house. I can't think of another one. Just this really excellent classic-style tea house, this huge array of loose-leaf teas from China and India and Sri Lanka and Japan. Really nice atmosphere, kind of noodles and other smaller, cool dishes to go with tea. And then it also has an adjoining tea shop where I buy all my loose leaf tea from. That's been around as long as I can remember. And then in between those two is actually a theater. So this is all on Belmont and in between 34th and 35th.
Right.
And then across the street from that is where I would go next, which is the Avalon Nickel Arcade. It has also been around forever. Its big marquee outside has been lit for as long as I can remember. And still to this day, in summer of 2025, they are still taking nickels for their arcade games.
They are. I love Avalon Theater. It is the perfect date night, I gotta say. It's absolutely, yeah, especially in the winter. You go there, and have you ever gone on the dark ride?
No, I don't think I have.
So now if you go into the big arcade room, towards the end, it almost looks like you go up these steps and it's like a little theater, but it's sectioned off and there's curtains and it's an immersive video game that you play. And it's very shoot 'em up. Like you're in a chair and it rumbles and it shakes and you feel puffs of air. It's amazing. And it's so like, it's your entire vision is this screen. So it feels like IMAX and it feels like you're moving.
See, let's pretend that I was telling you all of that because I'm the one who's supposed to be doing it. And you're the one who's informing me now.
No, you have to go.
I absolutely do. It's just a few blocks from my house.
It is so good. Oh, and it's 3D. I forgot to tell you that.
Okay.
Come on.
Very cool. So so there we go. So the Tao of Tea to the Avalon. And then we're going to finish things up after we play this cool immersive video game that you just described. We're going to head just a little bit down the street, not very far, to the Alto Lounge, which I believe I've talked about Alto Lounge on our happy hour podcast episode. Because once again, it's still one of the best happy hours in town. $4 drinks. There's a trio of cocktails that are each $4. There might be 5 now. I don't know. They started off at 2 when I was going there, but now they're, I think,
love that place.
Inflation comes to us all. Yeah.
Yeah.
And even if we've been at the Avalon past happy hour, it's still just a great cocktail bar. There's probably going to be a DJ there.
Yeah. I feel like was one of the first, I'm not saying this is who they are in their heart, but like for a lot of young adults, they were the transitional bar of like, I drink beer to cocktails.
You're probably not alone in that, right? Because it was one of the earlier cocktail bars in Portland.
Exactly.
Kind of before the big boom exploded all across town and everything. It was opened by Peter Bro, I want to say his name is, who's the owner of Broder. Yeah, and then he sold Alto Lounge to 2 of his employees a number of years ago, and they've operated it ever since.
That is so cool. I love when owners do that, when they sell to their
that'd be
employees.
Kate and Alex Wood, her friends of mine. They're great. They also have Wonderly up in Northeast Portland. But yeah, that's sort of my little ideal date, right? Get a little tea, have a nice time there, head over to the arcade, and then finish off with cocktails and some mezza at Alto Lounge.
That sounds awesome. By the way, perfect date.
Thank you.
I'll be honest. It's been rare when someone gives me their date and I'm just like, I don't want to go to the cemetery, like, but this is, I'm like, yeah, this is great. So let's talk about where the locals are hanging out though. Just like every day where you're going to see 4 people that you did not call and they're just going to be there.
The cemetery. What's funny is I was going to say that, but the cemetery is in Buckman. It is not Sunnyside. This is another one of those.
Oh, you're talking about the Lone Fir?
Yeah, everyone's favorite graveyard.
It is the best freaking graveyard.
Okay, so I would say where people hang out, the Belmont Inn is sort of our neighborhood. I don't want to call it a dive because it's a little too classy to be a dive, but it's not a dive. We've had this conversation a million times now. But the Belmont Inn, that they have a bunch of screens for sports. They've got a huge food menu, a big tap list, pool tables. And every single night of the week, basically, you got neighborhooders crowding into the space, smoking cigarettes outside. That's where you go to get a cheap whiskey and beer. Other place locals hang out is on the intersection between 37th and Hawthorne as of this summer, because they built that into, it is now a permanent street plaza. So for all my life, I've been able to drive down 37th from my place and get onto Hawthorne from there, and you no longer can. The entire street outside of like Buffalo Exchange and 3 doors down. Yep, that is now all set up as permanent street plaza.
I feel like that whole strip should just be no cars. Like you just walk, because it's so annoying to drive in or bike in. Because
it's so thin.
The streets are too narrow and there's people walking everywhere.
Absolutely.
I hate driving on that street. Like I usually park way out and then just walk because I don't want to deal with it.
They're so narrow. But yeah, everyone's hanging out in the street plaza now. Every time I go by there's always people lounging about. You don't have to buy anything nearby like people do. People will get food from nearby shops, but you don't have to. You can just hang out there.
That's so cool.
And then, of course, right up the street from that on Hawthorne, which is still in Sunnyside because it's not crossing Hawthorne. It's on the north side. Pal's Books, right? Everyone knows Pal's Books over in Northwest Portland, the big city of books, the big famous one. There's a smaller one that's still pretty huge when you think about bookstores. And it's got a coffee shop in it and everything. And if you go there, basically any morning of the week, people are lining up outside for the doors to open.
Wow.
And I think it's probably more than just locals that hang out there, but locals definitely hang out. And, that's kind of shorthand. Like growing up in the neighborhood, I would just hang out on Hawthorne, right? And like I think today kids still and older people still also hang out on Hawthorne. So that plaza and Pal's and the ice cream shop and Buffalo Exchange and all the other little secondhand stores these days. That's kind of the thing about Sunnyside is people just tend to hang out in the neighborhood. Like there's not necessarily like a fixed third space, but people will just hang out on the street basically.
Well, I feel like that area was like one of the first cool, like,
Absolutely.
do you know, like before
Yes.
we had the Alberta Arts District, before
Right.
we had, North Portland. I'm not saying Southeast Portland, now you have Division and all that stuff, but
Totally. But Hawthorne was like the first.
yeah, area where you would just go to hang out. And,
Exactly.
yeah, where teenagers would go and hang out. There's
Absolutely.
like is Jackpot Records still there?
Jackpot's still there, but see, that one's on the south side of the street, so technically not Sunnyside.
Oh, well, before we wrap up, is there anything else you want to mention about Sunnyside? Like ghost stories, like origin, weird history, anything that you're just like, you got to know this.
How about one of the coolest little cultural touchstones in Portland, which is Peacock Lane, is located in Sunnyside, Portland.
I didn't know that.
Yes, it is between Belmont and Stark.
I always thought that was Laurelhurst because like the park is right there.
The park's right there, but you're still in Sunnyside at that point because you were between, it is on, Peacock Lane, which I believe is about 42nd, I want to say, and in between Belmont and Stark, that puts it in Sunnyside.
Aw. Do you go every Christmas?
I used to,
Yeah.
and then I didn't for a while, and then I did this last year. And actually, I didn't usually go every Christmas. I would go on my birthday. So my birthday is December 17th. And so I believe Peacock Lane starts on December 1st, I believe. And so that would be kind of like a tradition when I was growing up, as I would walk down Peacock Lane on my birthday. But I went on my birthday and on Christmas this last year, and I went on Christmas the year before. So yeah, I guess I'd still go somewhat often. But there was a stint of time I wasn't going to Peacock Lane much, but...
I'm like, do you go on Christmas? And you're like, let me give you 10 minutes.
Yeah. That's what happens when you grow up in the neighborhood. You have a lot of connections to and everything. But yeah, Peacock Lane. Now, I'm going to get an email telling me that Peacock Lane is not in Sunnyside, I bet. But like, I swear that there's no way it's not in Sunnyside.
If it's not, I'm going to give you you spiritually claim it.
Yeah, I would. But no, there's no way, right? Because it's west of 50th and it's south of Stark.
Yeah. For anyone listening who's like, what is Peacock Lane?
Yeah,
it is the adorable neighborhood where everyone for the month of December just decks out their house with Christmas lights.
And it's a single street.
Yeah. And it's actually I don't know if it's an HOA or whatever, but it's in the bylaws. If you buy a house there, you have to participate. You cannot Grinch your way out.
You cannot. And there are people who have Grinches.
Yeah.
Well, there's at least one Grinch.
And it is also very apparent who the asshole is when you're going down the street, and like you see a dark house, like you're just like,
oh yeah,
hoping something terrible didn't happen to them. But
exactly.
then also that should be the only reason because it's Peacock Lane.
It's a pretty big deal, right? I mean, there are nights that you can't drive down there and they have horse-drawn carriages. I've caroled there with my high school choir.
Oh my God, that's so sweet.
And it's, it's packed. There's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people every single night that walk up and down Peacock Lane. I think it's weird to drive ever. I think that's a bizarre choice. Like, the only nights you should go are the ones where they're walking.
They should close that street. They really should. I can't believe they allow people to drive through it, but I guess maybe some people have, the accessibility issues.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's quite the event.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate you talking about your neighborhood. I didn't realize how central Sunnyside is because now as we were talking about Peacock Lane, I was like, oh my God, that's Laurelhurst Park is right there. And like so many things are just around you. Then like one block over, you're like, well, that's Burnside.
Yep.
You're just right there.
Which is funny you mentioned that though, right? Because like in my brain, I've talked about this before, I think, but my brain is a little bit weird when it comes to like reclaiming neighborhoods, right? I do not think of Laurelhurst, Portland being in Northeast Portland. And yet it is, because anything north of Burnside is north. Mm-hmm. So you cross Burnside, you are no longer in Southeast, you're in Northeast.
Yeah.
But I don't think of that as being Northeast Portland. You know what I mean? I don't think of Gleason or like the Montevilla neighborhood as being like Northeast Portland, even though it technically is. Mm-hmm. I think of Northeast Portland as being separated by 84.
Oh, and to me, it's like Broadway.
Yeah, see, Broadway works too, right?
Yeah,
right, Broadway or 84. Like anything north of that is Northeast Portland.
Yeah, that should be what it is.
Right, but it's Burnside, which doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah. Well, I don't think a guide has ever led any redistricting. I just want you to know that none of our guides have ever pushed that. But if you want, we can send an email to someone.
I don't know who's in charge of that, and I think that would probably take millions of dollars to change all the street signs and people's addresses and business licenses.
So maybe we'll just skip it. How about that?
Yeah,
We'll skip
I
it.
think we have to leave that as Northeast Portland. So.
Okay. Well, thanks again, Alex. I appreciate you taking the time and coming on and sharing your neighborhood.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
Also, in just a couple of minutes, we've got a segment sponsored by Metropolitan Family Service, where I chat with Marushka Lynch, their community engagement coordinator, about some upcoming volunteering opportunities. But first, some events. Every Thursday on the show, we like to bring you a few recommendations to help you plan your weekend, and here's what we got. Barbie is playing for free at Irvington Park. Usually starts around 7:30 p.m. Tonight is also Bike Summer's Trader Joe's ride, stopping at both Northeast and Northwest Trader Joe locations. They're meeting up at Oregon Park at 6 p.m. In the What to Bring section, they wrote good vibes, flirty crew member energy, and any drinks you want before the 2 stops. Hawaiian shirts are highly encouraged, of course. And this Saturday is the 26th year anniversary of the PDX Adult Soapbox Derby on Mount Tabor. If you haven't been, it's glorious. You got to go at least just once. Races start at 10 a.m. and it goes on until 4 p.m. Finally, a reminder that we're in the middle of Portland Mercury's Burger Week. There's over 100 participating restaurants this year, and you really can't go wrong. They all look delicious. Just go grab yourself a burger. And this is just scratching the surface. There's so much more happening this weekend, so many more free movies playing in parks. For even more local events and local news, sign up for our daily newsletter, Hey Portland, or hit up our website, portland.citycast.fm. We'll throw a link in the show notes. And here's our chat with Marushka Lynch, Community Engagement Coordinator at Metropolitan Family Service, about some upcoming volunteering opportunities. So Marushka, you're here to drum up volunteers to tutor elementary students in the East Portland, Gresham area. But before we get into how people can sign up and all that, I need to ask, what is Metropolitan Family Service?
Metropolitan Family Service is a community-based nonprofit organization. We've been around for 75 years. So MFS currently has over 20 different programs serving the community from, preschool, helping parents with parenting tips, after-school care, hunger relief, economic support, rides for older adults, and tutoring of kids. So all over from the beginning of life to older adults, we really do kind of provide support for everyone.
Oh, cool. I have to ask, since we're asking our listeners to go, I just got to make sure it's legit. Marushka, I don't want to send them to some sort of coal mine. I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know what's happening. This program in particular that we're looking for volunteers, how does this work?
Well, so the program that you and I are talking about today is ARP Foundation Experience Corps. And most people have heard of AARP. It's the organization supporting older adults in the country. And they have a foundation arm that helps get resources to older adults and also engages older adults in volunteering because they have a wealth of knowledge and experience and time that is incredible to tap into. And that's what they do. They have like a tax prep program and the tutoring program. And they partner across the country with community-based organizations to bring that program into the schools. Because we know the community, we know the people. So they partner with us to do that here in Portland. And we find the volunteers, train them, support them, and get to see our students thrive. So it's really a great partnership.
It's really cool that it's like two communities that are getting simultaneously helped or supported.
Yeah.
But it's very symbiotic, But also, it's essentially a tutoring program for children, for school-age kids, that they're just like, hey, this is the year that they need to learn to read, or else their whole life is slightly, I'm laughing, but it's true. It's statistically, they don't have a good step forward. Their comprehension isn't up to here.
On both ends, both children and older adults are sort of forgotten in our societies. It's sad to me because I think intergenerational connections are the key to a thriving community. Our kids are struggling more and more with academics, reading especially. English is hard, and older adults are increasingly isolated, increasingly ignored, and increasingly we don't have these sort of grandparent connections, either because people live far or other things. And so our tutors often crave that connection. They want to be helping kids, and they also want to be part of something. There's something magical about that intergenerational connection. It's why our program works. The kids improve, and the older adults have a sense of purpose and community with our program.
Right. And you're celebrating 30 years of Experience Corps, which is this program.
Mm-hmm.
I'm assuming there are many success stories. Does anything come to mind, just like, oh, I remember this child or volunteer and like how this really changed their life?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I could tell stories for hours, and I remember one of my tutors telling me how he had a new student, and the student was quite shy. It took them some time to warm up. The student felt I feel like embarrassed that they couldn't read, but they were an English language learner, and our tutor said, you know how to read in your native tongue. You are a reader. You're now just practicing to read in English. And maybe you can help me learn some words in Russian. So every day they would practice with our program. And then at the end, she would teach him a word in Russian. So he now has like a whole notebook with words that he's been learning from her. And she has reached her goal. She's a reader.
Aww.
She has great comprehension, and he is incredibly joyful about this and has this notebook that, he shows me and is just so happy about that. And so these connections are real, and they're making a real impact both on our tutors and on our students.
Yeah, that community support for
Mm-hmm.
sure. Well, let's get to the reason we're here, getting this program more volunteers. So what kind of time commitment are you asking for?
Oh, yeah. We are hoping that tutors can commit to 2 days a week for about 2 to 3 hours, because they sit with each student for about half an hour. And typically we partner you with 4 students. The training is about 2 days, some asynchronous online, some in person. So you really get to touch the materials and practice and really get confident in what you're doing.
And now let's talk about the volunteers themselves. Like, what are the qualities that you're seeking? I just want someone to listen and go, oh, that's me.
Yeah.
I'm 100% qualified for this.
Really, what we want is for you to be dependable, if you make this commitment, to show up and be willing to learn. You're going to learn a lot of new things. You're going to learn how to take notes online. You're going to learn all kinds of things. So your willingness to learn has to be there. And that really is sort of the main thing. You don't have to have any experience. We'll give you the tools, and have a love for kids. You'll enjoy it if you enjoy being around kids.
Yeah, don't volunteer if you hate children.
Yeah,
don't do that.
Don't do that to yourself.
Don't do that to the kids.
There's lots of other amazing things you can volunteer for. Yeah.
And is there like an age requirement? Like you have to be a certain age, since it is part of like the AARP umbrella?
Yeah, typically 50 plus. We have some flexibility with this Oregon Department of Education grant to bring you in as a community volunteer. But our focus really is on AARP Experience Corps. So 50 plus is the magic number, but we can talk if you're younger.
Well, if someone's listening right now and going, yep, that's me, I could do this.
Yeah.
What's the best way to get involved? What's the best way to reach you guys?
Well, you can actually look at our website, mfspdx.org, and find our program. And we have some webinars coming up. You can give me a call directly at 503-290-9427. Or you can email me at maruska@mfs.email, and I'll hook you up.
Nice. And it's Maruska. I've been saying Marushka this whole time. I'm so
you
sorry.
said my name correctly, but when you spell it, that does not exist in English.
Okay,
Yeah.
I was like, oh no.
If you try to put the in my email, it's going to go into some trash.
Well, Marushka, thank you for being here. Again, check out mfspdx.org. And the program is Experience Corps. If you want to learn more, we'll have that link for you in our show notes as well. So you're just a click away. Thanks again, everyone, for listening. And thank you so much, Marushka, for all your work. And I hope we get you some volunteers.
Yeah. Do you want to volunteer, Claudia?
Do you want me to volunteer?
Yeah, come over.
Okay. You're like, you're 65, right? Yeah, okay.
Oh, wait. We've been around for 30 years. We can wait a few more and have you after. We can talk. I have connections.
Okay. that's all for today here on CityCast Portland. Thanks so much for listening. We'll be back tomorrow morning with more from around the city. Until then, see you at Slim's.